All right, hello and welcome to the Rambling Robin podcast. I am Robin, and today I'll be rambling about the things I like to talk about. Today, I want to talk about storytelling and the inspirations I have. More specifically, like the stories that I'll kind of be emulating to a certain degree when it comes to the my own story that I'm writing right now, Trolldom. Maybe no, there will be nothing available of it as of yet, or as of the release of this podcast at least. Well, if we starting if I just start talking about the like initial first inspiration for this story, I of course have to talk about Wild Arms, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Maybe I'll get a little visual aid here. All right, where was I? Wild Arms, right? Right here. If you're watching the podcast or the video version and not listening to the podcast, I'm showing a little picture of the PlayStation cover for Wild Arms. It was one of the first JRPGs that I ever played, and I love it so goddamn much. Maybe it's because it was the first, or one of the first rather, JRPGs or RPGs in general that I ever played. Or it might just actually be because there's just something with the setting that like really resonates with me, and that is the Wild West kind of setting with the magic and such interspliced into it. It just really works for me, and that it's almost like it's a shame that I haven't played most of the other games. Like I've played Wild Arms 1, the first one, and I've played 5. I never finished 5. 1 I've played like the initial like 5 to 6 hours at least like 10 times. And I've only finished the game once. I have a problem with finishing games. It's just not something I do. I play a game until I'm satisfied with this was a nice game, on to the next thing. Or maybe I just got bored and never picked it back up. It's usually one of those two. But Wild Arms was such a huge inspiration for me for creating this story that I'm working on right now. And it was kind of like, it was just something about the aesthetic that I wanted to kind of develop upon. Because in Wild Arms, they just do like the Wild West setting, right? And everybody is dressed kind of accordingly. There's very few times where people are dressed in a more grander way or something. And it's also in a kind of a medieval setting. And what I want to do in my stories, put it a little bit further into the future. But what I want to do with the aesthetics more, and I guess it comes more to like fashion, I guess. I want to do more like out there, like extraordinary magician's clothing and stuff like that. Make it look real crazy. Imagine if you've ever watched or read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Try to imagine like that kind of, or not as extreme, but like more like fashion that stands out more is what I want to do, and like make it more like magicians themed with more classical magician things for a lot of people. And I guess that will be kind of an indicator for a lot of characters. Like this character is a magician because look at how they dress. This Karen is not Karen. This character is not because look at how they dress. It'll be kind of like that to a certain degree, but I just really want to come up with fun, cool character designs and also fun and cool um, like fashion designs, I guess I should say. I've never really been like a fashion guy, but I do love like nice looking clothing. I like everything. And I always try to, if we're talking about me for a second here instead of the story, always when I try to buy clothes, I try to find first of all something that just appeals to me in general, whatever it might be. Walking into a store becomes harder and harder, I feel like, because so many things just look the same as what everyone else is wearing. And I'm not into that. I want to be a little bit unique. Like maybe me and like 200 more people will have this shirt or something. I want to be a little bit more special. I guess it is what it comes down to. So like when I look for something new, I always browse online, and there's just so many cheap, bad quality crappy, just like cool looking bad stuff from like China. And it bothers the hell out of me because I always see like, ooh, that looks super cool. I kind of like, I want that shirt, I want that jacket, I want that sweater, whatever it might be. And then I look it up and then I see, oh, wow, ships from China, huh? It'll take a month to get here. And when it gets here, it might not even be the right product if I'm unlucky. So I guess I can't buy it. And sometimes there will be a reseller like somewhere in Europe, and I trust them. I buy it, I get it, and then it's shit quality, and it's just so disappointing. So for me, just finding fashion, finding clothing for myself is difficult because I want to dress a little bit more unique. I still don't want to like stand out too much. I just want to have clothing that like looks a little bit cool, different. It's so hard for me to explain, especially when I don't have visual aids for it. But back to Trolldom and the story and my inspiration. So Wild Arm is definitely one of the biggest inspirations that I'm taking from when it comes to this story. And also, well, I already mentioned JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, not necessarily in the way that the story is told or anything. It's just something about the idea of the stance, the power system that they use in JoJo. Is really appealing to me. So I've kind of borrowed from that when it comes to like the spirits in Trolldom, though it will not work the same way as stance. I've written not really extensively, but I've written down a lot of like notes for how the spirits will work within the power system that I'm creating, and they will not be like stands, though they will kind of be similar to all. They will almost be, if you've ever read Hunter x Hunter, the manga. There eventually you'll read about the Nenbis. I guess my spirits in my magic system will work more similarly to Nenbeasts. But that's besides the point. So Wild Arms is the biggest inspiration, and like aside from that, I guess the number two biggest inspiration would probably be One Piece, just because of how unique. And like I guess I should say like almost all my inspirations for this story are mostly visual. And when it comes to One Piece, like it's just something about the art style with Eiichiroda that it's like cool, silly, and I love that. I want to create something similar to that. Like it can be cool when it needs to, and other if it's not cool, then it's usually like silly. It's almost never just bland or boring. Everything looks like it is something, right? And that's what I want to do. And it'll be quite a struggle for me, I believe, when I actually get to implementing all the characters into the story and creating the town where everything starts off in and everything like that. I believe it'll be a huge struggle for me just to make it unique and not like too over the top, and also interesting. But yeah, those two are like Wild Arms and One Piece are probably the biggest inspirations that I have when it comes to this story. I don't really know what others I would say. I guess to a certain extent, actually, Gravity Falls, and that isn't really not really just visually, though it might be to some extent. I just really love the aesthetic of. I think they're like in Oregon or something in the U.S., wherever it is. But more like with a just unexplained phenomenon. It's just something I love, that kind of like just adding that kind of lore into a story, just having some kind of like, oh, these things happen, like why do they happen? I don't know, it's just a thing that is in this world, right? We don't really, like a lot of people I guess do ask like why do some fish swim like upstream, like was it salmon or whatever, like, why does it do that? But a lot of people in the past was like, all right, they swim up the stream. That's strange. That's odd. Well, I guess that's just the thing they do, right? Why do bears eat honey? They actually try to get to the larvae. Wow, ruin that magic, right? Um, but stuff like that. I just want I want to create a world where I can just add a bunch of like fun ideas into, and then just make the story reach those ideas somehow. Like I guess I can, for example, I can pull up. Let's see here. Uh, I have some kind of like location ideas. So one idea that I wanted to implement, and I have no like I basically just have like, oh, this is a thing that I want to exist in this world. One of them is the infinite labyrinth, a labyrinth created by one of the gods millennia ago, designed to be a trap for humans who break the pact they have with the god. Pact being kind of like conditions put upon the magic that you use. Like when you use magic in this world, you can create a pact in order to make it easier or more powerful or more effective, whatever it might be. Some people create pacts with gods in order to use specific magic more easily. But if they break the pact with this specific god, they get sent to the infinite labyrinth. So if I keep reading a little bit about it here, let's see. If you perchance happen to enter the labyrinth, you will be unable to leave. Everyone who does end up in the labyrinth is granted with one specific piece of knowledge. If you enter into a pact with the god, where you promise your eternal soul to the god when you die, you may leave the labyrinth at any time. But wherever you go in the labyrinth, you might find yourself in a completely new spot where no one has ever set foot before, or you might even turn a corner and end up where you just were. This labyrinth is magical, right? No matter where you go or how you try to get somewhere else in the labyrinth, there is no guarantee that you will end up at that point. If you enter it. And the same goes, let's see, I think I wrote a little bit more about it. If you're unlucky, you might even spend years in the labyrinth without ever meeting another soul. As a result, there have been many small tribes created within the labyrinth where humans try their best to keep living without the pact, all while trying to find a way out. So that's just like a short little text that I wrote about this location that I want to create. Like, okay, so this labyrinth, like basically an entire, like maybe a whole country of people exist within this labyrinth because no one can get out, and people are not willing to create a pact where they give up their soul to the god in case they would break the pact again, because they only know about the one part of the pact, right? Just stuff like that. I can go a few titles. Compact Town. What could that be? I don't know. Reverse Forest, Troll Bridge. Troll Bridge is one of those that I really, really like. I actually thought of it, I think, like 2 days ago. I guess I can divulge what it'll be, because it'll basically, like, all of these are just like locations, like ideas for locations that I've created. So the Troll Bridge, if I read from this text a little bit, a bridge built about 300 years ago connecting the closest points between two continents divided by water. It is generally well built and seen over, as a lot of people use it when traveling between the two countries. The problem is that a troll decided to sleep underneath the bridge and has been doing so for the last 270 years. A troll can sleep for up to thousands of years, which is why the bridge is still in use. But the risk of the troll waking up and possibly deciding to get rid of the bridge, or whoever might be using it at the time, is always... whoop, I lost myself there. It's always a looming threat that people need to consider. There is, of course, a chance that the troll will wake up and simply walk away, though keeping this hope up while not being precarious seems foolish. So I just love that idea, because... if I talk, I guess I have to talk a little bit about trolls, because trolls in this world that I'm creating, trolls are basically the most powerful beings. They are not Yeah. I guess you could say the most powerful beings. Trolls have powers that rival the gods, right? They are not eternal like gods. Gods are eternal in this world, though you might be able to kill a god. The god will never cease to be without any direct intervention from someone else. I guess it's yeah. But trolls are like they are godlike beings. If you try to engage with a troll as a human, you might find yourself dead within seconds, or like without ever even noticing that you died, because trolls try to keep to themselves. They have their own families. They rarely ever leave their homes to do anything but finding a partner. And they like humans in that humans are delicious, so they eat humans as well. And they like saying that their power rivals the gods. Like trolls are what do you call it? Like the progenitors of human magic. Humans, some humans long ago were like they observed trolls, and that's how humans learned how to do magic. Trolls can do magic. The more like the almost completely impossible for a human, they a troll can do with ease. A young troll, like a troll of only like 5 years old, trolls can live for thousands of years. A troll that's maybe 4 or 5 years old already possess more magical powers than the most powerful mages in the entire world. Something like that. So because of this, trolls are feared. People don't know if trolls will attack or just leave you alone, or why they are where they are. Humans try to not engage with them because it is there is how do you say it? I kind of lost my train of thought. There's no use in engaging with a troll for a human unless you have a death wish basically. Or if you just believe that you're so incredibly lucky that this troll will not kill you, right? The trolls look at humans as just like wild, as animals. We're just something like we create our little colonies and then we live together and stuff like that. The trolls, they're like, yeah, it's just another animal, but they're delicious as hell though. Either way, so that's just like a few ideas, and I got a lot of inspiration from or not a lot, but I got some inspiration from stuff like Gravity Falls when it comes to that, because just some of the ideas that they use in that show really like spoke to me. And same with One Piece. A lot of the locations and stuff like just visually look so interesting. A lot of people, myself included, really think that Oda, the author of One Piece, he is just so fucking creative, and I envy that. Except for he created one location which was basically just like food land, where all the buildings are foods and stuff, and it was just, I don't know. People said, "Oh, he's so creative! Like this cake is a castle," and I'm like, dude, that is like the least creative thing he's done in the entire show. Like just a normal house when he does it is more creative somehow, I feel. But yeah, I guess that was about it. I've been rambling on for almost 20 minutes now, and I would say that's enough. That is enough. Get rid of that one. So, all right. So, thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and ArtStation if you want to see my art and listen to what I have to say when I say something on Twitter, I guess. But yeah, thank you for your time, and please, please, come on. Please, man, just have a good day. All right. Bye.